How did ancient humans survive toothaches? Imagine waking up in the middle of the night with the worst toothache of your life. Your jaw is throbbing. You cannot eat, you cannot sleep, and even cold air makes the pain worse. Naturally, you reach for your phone to search for the nearest dentist. Except, there is no phone. There is no dentist. There are no painkillers, antibiotics, x-rays, or comfortable chairs that lean backward while someone tells you to open wider. There is only a campfire, a collection of plants, and one suspicious-looking friend holding a sharp piece of stone. For ancient humans, toothache was not just an inconvenience. A painful tooth could stop someone from eating properly, weaken their body, and make everyday survival much harder. If an infection spread beyond the tooth, it could become extremely dangerous. So how did people survive toothaches thousands of years before modern dentistry existed? The first answer is not very comforting. Sometimes they simply suffered. They waited, adapted their diet, chewed on the other side of their mouth, or hoped the pain would eventually disappear. But ancient humans were also far more inventive than we often imagine. Some of their solutions were crude and painful, yet surprisingly similar to the basic ideas behind modern dentistry. Ancient teeth faced different problems from ours. Before agriculture, most people consumed far less processed starch and sugar, which often meant fewer cavities. However, their teeth still had a difficult life. Food could contain sand, soil, and tiny stone particles introduced during preparation. Tough plants and rough food gradually wore down the enamel. Teeth were also sometimes used as tools for gripping, pulling, or processing materials. An ancient person might have had fewer sugar-related cavities than someone today, but they could still suffer from cracked, worn, or damaged teeth. Then agriculture changed everything. Humans began eating more grain and other carbohydrate-rich foods. These foods provided a more reliable source of energy, but they also created better conditions for the bacteria responsible for tooth decay. As farming spread, cavities became more common. In other words, agriculture helped feed growing communities, but it also gave the bacteria living inside human mouths a much better menu. Even before farming became widespread, people were already attempting to treat damaged teeth. Around 14,000 years ago, a young man lived in what is now northern Italy. At some point during his life, decay developed inside one of his back teeth. Thousands of years later, researchers examined the tooth and discovered unusual scratches and chipped areas inside the cavity. These marks did not appear to have been caused by normal chewing. Someone had deliberately inserted a tiny pointed stone tool into the damaged tooth and scraped away part of the decayed material. Researchers later recreated the process using tools made from materials such as wood, bone, and stone. The marks produced by a small stone point closely matched those found inside the ancient tooth. This means one of the earliest known dental treatments was essentially someone placing a sharp piece of flint inside another person's painful tooth and carefully scraping away the damaged material. There was no anesthetic, no dental assistant, and no relaxing music in the background. There was only trust, determination, and an extremely steady hand. As terrifying as that sounds, there was logic behind it. Food and damaged material trapped inside a cavity can increase irritation and pressure. Removing some of it may have provided temporary relief. Ancient humans had already been using simple toothpicks made from wood or bone for thousands of years. Eventually, someone may have realized that the same basic idea could be taken further. Instead of cleaning only between the teeth, they could try cleaning inside a damaged tooth. It was not modern dentistry, but it was intelligent problem solving. Humans observed a problem, experimented with the tools around them, and remembered what appeared to work. Thousands of years later, people living at Mehrgar, an early settlement in what is now Pakistan, took this idea even further. Archaeologists discovered several molar teeth containing carefully drilled holes. The holes were not random damage caused after death. Signs of wear suggested that some of the people continued using the treated teeth afterward. The people of Mehrgar were skilled craftspeople who created small beads from stone and other materials. To drill holes into those beads, they used a bow drill. A string wrapped around a shaft caused the drill to rotate rapidly as the bow moved backward and forward. At some point, someone appears to have realized that the same tool used to drill beads could also be used on a painful tooth. The drill could be fitted with a small stone tip capable of cutting through enamel. This meant humans had developed a functioning dental drill thousands of years before electricity. The process was probably fast compared with scraping a tooth by hand, but it would not have been pleasant. Without modern anesthesia, the patient would have felt every vibration and every movement. Still, leaving a badly damaged or infected tooth untreated could be even worse. Ancient dental care was often a choice between different forms of suffering. Endure the toothache and risk becoming weaker, or allow someone with a stone tool to attempt a treatment that might provide relief. Ancient humans also experimented with materials that could protect damaged teeth. At an archaeological site in what is now Slovenia, researchers examined a cracked tooth from roughly 6,500 years ago. The crack in part of the tooth appeared to have been covered with beeswax. It may have been applied during the person's life to reduce sensitivity, protect the exposed area, or make chewing less painful. Beeswax would not repair a tooth permanently, but it could act as a temporary protective layer. The idea is surprisingly familiar. Modern dentistry also uses materials to cover, seal, and protect damaged parts of teeth. The ancient version simply came from a beehive rather than a laboratory. Plants may also have played an important role in managing dental pain. Ancient communities developed detailed knowledge of the natural materials around them. Certain leaves, roots, bark, resins, and oils may have been chewed or placed near painful teeth. Some could have reduced discomfort temporarily, while others may have helped keep wounds cleaner. The exact treatments varied between regions and cultures, and many probably did very little. But through trial and error, people gradually learned which materials were useful and which were not. When a tooth became too damaged to save, extraction may have been the final option. This was not the controlled procedure we know today. Removing a tooth without modern instruments, sterilization, or pain relief would have been extremely risky. It could cause bleeding, further damage, or infection, but when the alternative was constant pain and a spreading infection, people sometimes had little choice. Surviving the treatment was only part of the challenge. Ancient humans also needed to survive afterward. A person who could no longer chew tough food depended heavily on the people around them. Meat could be cut into smaller pieces, plants could be crushed, and food could be cooked until it became softer. This social support may have been just as important as the treatment itself. Ancient humans did not survive toothaches because they were immune to pain. They survived because they improvised, cooperated, and passed knowledge from one generation to the next. They transformed toothpicks into scraping tools, bead-making equipment into dental drills, and beeswax into a protective filling. None of these treatments were comfortable or completely safe, but they showed that humans were already trying to understand and control dental pain thousands of years before the first modern clinic existed. Somewhere in the distant past, one human looked at another person holding their swollen jaw and thought, "I have a sharp rock. This might help." It probably did not feel helpful at first, but moments like that may have been among the earliest steps toward modern dentistry. So the next time you are sitting in a clean dental office surrounded by sterile instruments, trained professionals, and effective anesthesia, remember the alternative: a campfire, a stone drill, and a friend telling you to hold still. Subscribe to Anciently Human for more stories about life before comfort, explained simply.